Give away your gifts generously. The well never runs dry. We're going to get into it. Hi, welcome back. I'm Joe. This is the Ultimate Love Letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. The well never runs dry. As long as we are breathing on this side of life, we are meant to give away our gifts in generous quantities. And our gifts stems from the inspiration that life's experience offers. And when we understand where that inspiration comes from, we will find God at the center of it. Inspiration is God within, saying, this is the path forward. This is the way. This is what we're meant to write about. This is what we're meant to draw about. This is what we're meant to speak about. Inspiration is what sparks the art. The art, our art, is the gift that we were given from God to give away freely. This conversation was inspired by an old friend whom I spoke to just the other day. And now the conversation came up and it was so beautiful. She was explaining how she listens to the videos I put out and she listens to what I'm speaking. And from her perspective, she feels that it is her story, that I am speaking to her life. Now, immediately when I heard that, it resonated as the most deepest compliment, because when we hear the truth, it resonates, correct? When I take to someone else's platforms and I hear a message, it almost feels, when, God sends us messages everywhere and uses everyone to touch and convict our hearts. And I'm no different. When I go to people's platforms, I hear God speaking to me directly where I need to be fed in my life. And I can see how their message is applied to my life. When we are met with individuals who are being vulnerable, who are simply giving us a word raw, people who are living in their purpose, living in their passion, that is usually when we're able to see our life in them. It's like they're being vulnerable. They're like magnets drawing in others who are being vulnerable. And that is when their words, their life begins to resonate with us. We begin to see our life in their message. So yes, for me personally, it was one of the highest compliments. I love when I hear that, like, oh, your word resonated with me. But this was something different. When I really listened to what my friend was saying, what she was saying is she felt that the words I was speaking, by the messages I was giving, were words coming from her. They were her wisdom, and perhaps not mine. Very different perspective, very different. And as she was continuing to express how she felt I was taking her life and preaching about it, speaking about it from a place of my wisdom, she felt as if I was speaking about her life. So if I'm speaking about her life and it's her wisdom, where does that leave for her? And so then I got clearly the message that she was offering. And what I say to her is what I say to myself. What I say to the world is, the well never runs dry. When we are in a conversation with anyone, perhaps we're speaking about our jobs, our relationships, our family, our experience with travel, our experience with life. We are expressing the way we see life from our lens. And that is our gift to give the world. We're all here individually to express our perspective, the way I view life, the way you view life. Now, with my dear friend, she was speaking about conversations that her and I had where certain points during the conversation I had to receive inspiration, which was God, which was a trigger, which was a moment where God is saying, you got to speak to this part. And in the moments where I took to my platforms and I spoken about the triggers that come up within me, within the conversations I had with her, because she is so intuitive, she was able to pinpoint certain conversations that I had that perhaps were moments of conversations that her and I have. So she felt that in entirety, my perception of our conversation was her wisdom and not my own. Very interesting take. What I had attempted to explain to her is when we're in an experience with other people, understand we are the main characters of the experience. Yeah, we might be in a conversation with 5 other people, but the 5 other people are simply characters in your life. You, my friend, hold the main character in your story. And what we're here to do is simply, as the main characters in our own story, we're here to express our perception of the experience that we have with everyone from our lens, the way we view it. Short answer, we're meant to express the way we view life. That is our gift. That is what Picasso was doing. That is what Napoleon Hill was doing. That is what all the greats, all the great artists who created anything, all they were doing was expressing how they perceive life, whether it was through a book, a beautiful work of literature, a beautiful painting, a podcast episode, a blog, a film. Everyone who achieved any level of greatness was simply living in their purpose, expressing their purpose, and speaking about it from their lens, working on it from their perspective. And what I was attempting to explain, my dear friend, is the conversation that we're engaged with. I'm speaking about what it feels to me to be engaged in that moment, which really honestly has little to do with anyone who's engaged in it with me, because God has placed me in the moment. And God, as He placed me in the moment, He also places the inspiration of the moments that He wants me to speak about. So I was explaining to my friend, as we're engaged in the moment, you and I may have had this conversation, but you take to your platforms and you speak about the way you perceive life and everyone in it, including myself, including the conversations that you have with me, including the experiences that you and I are engaged in. You speak about it from your lens. That's your gift. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you and God. And I do the same. That is really how the ultimate love letter has been born. It's simply my life expression on how I'm viewing life. The ups, the downs, the triggers, the hill parts, the fears, the blessings, what I'm learning on this path, and I'm simply sharing it. I am in this experience with everyone, and I'm in this experience with God. I might be biking down the street and I overhear my homeless neighbor say something to another neighbor, and it sparks a moment of inspiration. It might spark something fearful in me, and I say, oops, I gotta go on the ultimate love letter and speak about the fear because I heard my neighbor speak about it. I may be engaged in a conversation with a client. They ask a question, and now it's like, oh my goodness, that's an inspiration. I feel inspired to speak about the question that they asked me. I might be going through life. I meet someone that I love, and all of a sudden the joy of meeting them and me falling in love with them in the moment sparks a moment where I know I need to talk about it on the ultimate love letter. We can't control what we're inspired by. We are supposed to be led by that inspiration. That is our inspired action. The inspired action is God saying, this is your work to do. This is where you need to be speaking about it from your healed lens and your unhealed lens. You simply put out your art the way you see it. And the well will never run dry. My father told me this, about 2-3 years ago when I started the Ultimate Love Letter. He says, wow, he says, you put out so many combos a month. I kind of want to say, don't put out so many because I don't want you to run out of things to speak about. And I literally told him, Dad, the well never runs dry. As I am living, I will always find inspiration. There is always something to discuss because we are always inspired by so much. There's so much to be inspired by. Sometimes I wake up, I don't know what I'm going to speak about, but I hear the birds chirping for whatever reason. outside my window. And then I'm drawn into, well, what are they saying to God? Then I hear other birds chirping in, and I can only imagine the conversation. And then bang, God gives me the inspiration to speak on that. I might not know what to speak about, and I open my devotional, and the words, there's just one sentence in the whole paragraph that stands out. Bam, that's inspiration. For whatever reason, that sentence stood out. I am led to speak about that. Bingo, there goes a convo. The well never runs dry. We cannot, and we shouldn't, help what inspires us. When I have a girlfriend who was going through many years of pain. And this is when I first started when I first started the Ultimate Love Letter. One of my closest friends was going through so much heartache. She was going through tower moment after tower moment. It was so much inspiration just watching her life. Like, I would say maybe the first 20 conversations were about her life, because I saw the pain and the heartache she was going to. So I was inspired to speak about the heartache and how you heal it. Now, were the conversations about her life? I mean, they were certainly inspired by the tower moments in her life, but God was leading me to speak about it from a place of how to avoid the heartache, how to avoid the tower moments, how to avoid the pain. Now, she could certainly come back and say, was I the inspiration behind the 12 convos you did on healing the root, not settling in relationships, following God, taking inspired actions? She could ask. I mean, her life didn't reflect the healed parts, but I did speak about the destruction, the devastation, the tower moments, the heartache of her life. But I spoke about it on the Ultimate Love Letter on essentially what not to do. Inspiration. As long as we are alive, we should be extracting inspiration by what we're seeing. The conversations we're having with friends, with loved ones, with people we meet at the airport, with the stewardess in flight, with the people you meet when you're walking the dog, with the mailman who's dropping mail. We should be extracting inspiration along the way. That's God. God actually says, wake up and see if you can find the treasure that I have planted along the way. I say that treasure is the inspiration. And then what will we do with that treasure? Meaning, what will we do with that inspiration? Will you then take that inspiration and turn it into a grand painting? Will you then take that inspiration and turn it into a masterful book? Will you then take that inspiration and turn it into a Academy Award winning film? What will you do with it? We are all here simply to take the golden nuggets that God is giving us by way of inspiration, the treasures, if you will, and multiply the treasure. Multiply the talent. Don't bury it. I just spoke about this in our last conversation about the master who gave his 3 servants talents. One buried the talent. The other 2 multiplied it. And I was speaking about how God gives us talents. Our talent is our free expression, whichever way we're meant to express them, right? Whether that's literature, film, singing, painting, writing, whatever it is. The one who buried the talent and did nothing with it, what did the master say when he came? He said, "You lazy servant. I was coming here expecting that you multiplied the talent, the one talent I gave you, yet you buried it. The other ones multiplied it. So now I'm going to take the one talent you have and give it to the others who did something with it." Well, I say to us all, what are you doing with the talent that God gave you? What are you doing with the inspiration that God gave you? What are you doing with the inspired action that God is asking you to take, but you continue to bury it? But perhaps we're blaming others, thinking someone is taking what's ours. The well never runs dry. If it's your story, if it's your expression, take it and do something with it. Don't bury it. Then when you hear others who are doing something with their talents, you don't get the right to claim it as yours. We are all called here to do God's work. Get going doing the work. Get going being inspired when a trigger comes. Speak about the trigger. Somebody else out there is dealing with the same trigger and is waiting to hear from you. When an inspiration comes and you know you've healed beyond the wound that inspired the conversation, speak about the way to heal the wound. Inspiration is everywhere. Use it. Because when we use it, we're finally doing God's work. When we use it, we inspire others to do God's work. Don't bury your talents. Don't think that someone could ever for a moment take anything from you. No one can take anything that is for you. Not your story, not your wisdom, not your words. Use them. You have a platform. If you don't have a platform, build a platform and get going. Sharing your expression on how you view the world. No one is coming to put you on their platform. It's time for us to build our own. Thank you so much for joining this combo. I want to turn your attention to our shop that holds all of our official merch, Tull.shop, which is linked in our show notes. Also, our book, Fake Ass Vegan, a book on balance, which is available on Amazon. Go ahead and check us out there. And if you have a copy of our book, please make sure you go back to Amazon and review it. That makes our book more recognizable. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our mastermind. It's you, it's me, it's God. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll chat again real soon. Bye for now.